What's up, everybody? I wish I could like lay it on here the theme for Kill Bill, like which is the ultimate pump up theme in the beginning of the movie, but we can't. So fuck that. Anyways, what's going on, guys? We are back here again in a while. It's been a while, and on the other end of the line, we got my partner in YouTube, Troestrup. What's up, Troy? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm coming here from basically what it could basically be a radio tower with a 600 megabit per second internet connection, but it is actually just a new dorm room that I moved to just yesterday, in fact, and well, I'm sitting pretty good in here with internet wise. Has been a long time since if I ever had a ping of 1. I mean, just let that sink in. 1 in ping. 1 millisecond ping.
Damn, that's crazy, man.
I mean, that kind of latency is rare these days. But I like it.
It's pretty good, man. And I'll be coming up to Troy sometime this year. And we're going to film a podcast. We're making a stew in one of the barbecue pits in one of the parks of the great city of Aarhus. And doing some cool stuff again there. It's going to be fun. I am in the process of editing the Aarhus podcast, but it's a lot of pictures and stuff to take in, and I still haven't wrapped my head around how I want it to finish. Anyways, a lot's going on in the world right now, Troy. A lot's going on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, should we start with the Russians or
yes,
because that is the imminent danger as we speak.
Let's start with the Russians. You know what happened yesterday?
No, the last thing I heard was just a bunch of angry or I don't know if they're angry, but they're just following orders. Just orderly Russians, as orderly as Russians can be. Sorry for being racist. That was not politically correct. Anyway, 100,000 Russians standing at the border to Ukraine, ready to march in an invasion.
I mean, that's the 100,000 is just the one standing on one place at the side of the border. We still don't have the numbers that they have moved into Belarus at the northern part of the border from Ukraine. Since Lukashenko and Putin are homies and go way back. He's not objecting to Putin when he asks, "You mind if I throw in a bunch of advanced fighter jets and personnel and armored tanks in Belarus on the border?" No, you go ahead. You go ahead, the comrade. You go ahead. Come. What? Absolutely nuts. And it was because of this action that they have now moved Russia's most advanced fighter jets into Belarus, into one of the military airfields. That the U.S. embassy personnel in Ukraine has now been ordered to evacuate their families from the country. That is how imminent of a threat the U.S. think that this is, and they're doing that because when shit hits the fan. Like in Afghanistan, then commercial flights will be grounded and not be able to fly between the countries, right? But with the remaining of the embassy personnel, they are able to fly in some military plane and like they did in Afghanistan at what was it? The Kabul airport, I think.
Kabul, that's Afghanistan.
Yeah. Like they did. I'm saying that in the Afghanistan also fell, right? And then
I'm just looking at a map of Ukraine, trying to really map it.
Yeah, but you remember, when you were seeing all these fucking crazy pictures of oceans of people at the Kabul airport trying to desperately get in, trying to get onto a military plane, trying to get out. I mean, that's essentially what's going to happen in Ukraine. right?
If it comes to that, I mean,
If
but
it comes to that,
but like even the experts are very unsure of this. I mean, what I heard on the radio a couple of days ago was that they were they were happy that there had been some negotiations, some diplomacy with Putin. I think it was Biden who had sat down with him, and they at least had a dialogue, even though they didn't come to a conclusion. But they were happy that there was at least a dialogue with Russia. However, they were still uncertain that an invasion would be inevitable. I mean,
yeah, well, Biden said that he thinks that they will invade because he knows that he can't trust the Russians as far as he can throw them.
and they've already started to hand out flyers in the Ukraine on what to do when they hear the bomb sirens.
Yeah,
It's fucking nuts. It's like
It's
the second.
absolutely crazy.
It's like the Second World War. It's like
Right.
it's a smaller version of the Second World War that's going to repeat itself. Ukraine is going to be the new Germany if this fucking pans out.
But you know, like what fucking amazes me is that I thought, you know, like ever since 2014, where they took Crimea, I thought that, you know, they're gonna try and take Ukraine, then NATO's gonna have Ukraine's back. But that's a fucking lie.
But they don't. They don't.
They don't.
They're
They
pulling
don't.
out.
Yeah, and you know why?
Because Ukraine is still not a member of NATO.
That's one of the reasons. But another reason is that Russia fucking controls 40% of the gas being imported to, the EU.
No, I know.
40%,
that.
man.
Right,
And like
true.
I'm like, how the fuck can you rely on this fucking so-called democratic country, a guy that you can't trust, and a guy that is anti-European Union and pro-Soviet Union, to fucking be in control of like half the gas being supplied to Europe?
Yeah, man. It is really a wake-up call in a way. Like, it is terrible that it had to go to those lengths before we realize how dependent we are on Russia. And how much power we need. But I guess, like, I don't know, like, I know that the term overpopulation isn't usually an adequate word to use in the context of the Western civilization, but I mean, considering the amount of power that we're using, that we have to rely on a fucking Russian dictator, which he essentially is. I mean, yeah, come on, let's wake up. They say that they have democracy, but Putin is basically a dictator. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah, man. He is like I said, man. Like his biggest fucking dream in the world is to see the Soviet Union come together again.
Yeah.
And it is, and this year, 2022, it is actually 100 years ago since the Soviet Union was established. It was established in 1922. So you know, like what better way for him to what better time for him to start bringing it all together again at the 100 years 100th year anniversary.
Yeah.
Because
and
the
after,
thing is that,
and when the whole world is preoccupied with Corona, and then Vlad can do his coup on Ukraine.
and you know, like with Belarus, he don't even need to invade it, because he would just simply say to Lukashenko, "You got a problem with being part of the Soviet Union again?" Nope, because Lukashenko is also massively pro Soviet Union and pro Putin. So that is like two major countries that he could just have with the snap of his fingers. Well, maybe not Ukraine, that will be messy, but still. And
Nuts, man.
it is. So yeah, back to this like gas supply thing and energy. I am like amazed, you know, like, because this is another one of byproducts of being like, we gotta get this product somewhere in the world where it is the cheapest.
Yeah.
Right. And because like you can't tell me that it is impossible for another for another European country to fucking make natural gas. I mean, like Norway is making it. By the way, do you know how natural gas is made?
I don't have that technical knowledge.
It's a byproduct from the oil when you like put oil rigs in the ocean and you like build this shit and you're like drilling down, right? Then you get like two separate pipes up from the ocean floor, okay? And one pipe gives you oil, the other gives you gas because the gas is the byproduct of the oil. And then like this gas is being like transported through pipelines from the oil rig or the ocean floor to the mainland where it is being refined, and then where it is being again diverted into smaller separate pipelines and then distributed to cities. Which is essentially like what they it never got operational as far as I understood, but like there was a huge pipeline being built between Russia and Germany, because Germany is actually the biggest user of natural gas in the Union.
Yeah, and they're going to rely even more on it now that they're starting to consider dropping nuclear power for good, which is a serious topic in Germany, along the legalization of cannabis, of course.
I'm like, it is the wrong time to do this. I mean, like, get control of Russia or become independent first. Because I think about it, like this is the card they're holding. Vladimir can just say, "Fuck it, cut supply to Europe of gas," right? And then all of a sudden we got 60% instead of 100%, and we gotta like distribute these 60% between 700 something million people. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Which would again mean a massive energy crisis throughout Europe, since gas prices would go up even more than they have now. I mean, like, highest point I think like was like just before Christmas. Then gas prices was almost 200% of like the normal. But they cut it in completely cut it, then it will probably go up like 400 or 500%. Then I'm sure in the shit because I'm using natural gas in my house.
Damn, I'm not actually sure what they use to power these dorms.
Oh no, that's definitely fjernvarme, like remote heat thing.
Oil too.
Yeah, so that's no remote. That's not made from oil. That's like made like in a different way, more. I don't know, like you could call it a more green way, I guess. I'm not like completely sure about the process for that, but that's different because like every city in Denmark, like every major city, like Aarhus for instance, but also down here in Sønderborg and shit, there is these like plants that make this fjernvarme thing, to give you heat. Like check what that's called in English. But yeah, man, like it's going to be a crazy year.
While you check that, I'm just going to round off the topic here with Ukraine and Russia, because like we also had other things to talk about, or you at least had. Like I'm just happy to be in a new dorm room and hope that the Russians aren't gonna come knocking on my door. That is actually a severe threat for anyone who knows the Danish island of Bornholm, which is an island that is like lying a lot to the east of Sweden actually, to the west of Stockholm, but to the little bit to the east of. So it's like lying south of Sweden, basically, and the Russians have these days been sailing there with submarines and have been flying over there to check for things, I guess. I mean, they're really doing. Also, the Chinese, they're doing the same. They're like checking on things to see. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, if they're like checking if they can invade or whatever. Even though they would never be able to do that due to the NATO, but still.
To clarify though, I will put up a map there where you were like talking about where it is, or I'm gonna put it up here where I'm talking now. Bornholm is laying in the Baltic Sea between Sweden and Poland.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's Poland. It's not even Germany. It's that far east. But that explains also why the Russians would probably be interested in owning that island. But it's just never going to happen because it has a big history to belonging to Denmark. So even if they slaughter the whole thing, there's still like remnants of Danish history there. Even if they slaughter the whole population, which obviously would be a tragedy.
To reassure people, though, in every military simulation ever having been run, Russia loses the invading scenario of Europe.
I would assume so.
Even without the United States help.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought we were more reliant on the U.S. as that, but. Then again, I guess it makes sense that people are now discussing the possibility of a EU force.
Because like if because the scenario goes on that like the US is like unable to help for whatever reason, don't want to, don't give a fuck, whatever.
Or getting the new president. President Trump president for the second time, who's all about domestic issues. USA first.
Then there is still more firepower combined and military forces combined in the European Union and Europe to beat Russia. And,
wow, I didn't know that.
And in this scenario, then I believe it is like Germany having the biggest military force to strike with. Then Germany is like one of the prime targets for Russia to hit first, since they would need to stabilize that first, right? But
Germany doesn't actually have an active army. All they have is a defense army called the Bundeswehr.
Yeah, but they still have like NATO forces, and also these NATO bases and stuff on their soil. But still, like Germany has actually a massive military force. Anyway, so like this is one of the.
But they're not as well trained as an active army would be. They're like they're just intended to just protect against an attack, not
exactly
attacking other
exactly.
countries.
So this is why like Germany takes the longest to take because they're fighting this Bundeswehr, and then eventually the rest of Europe is like mobilizing to counter attacks. Missiles are being fired, blah 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 blah. Some cities demolished, but eventually Russians are pushed back to Russia, and then it ends in again these bullshit fucking sanctions and treaties where there would be, I don't know, like some government overhead somewhere being like, we're going to discuss the possibilities to get peace with Russia now after this war, and then it ends up with like Russia getting a few territories more, and that's it. So
yeah,
the
German Bundeswehr, the German army is on 180,000 people.
That's a lot, though.
Is it?
Yeah, I would say that 180,000 people.
I'll compare it to France, who have active personnel 204,000.
Wow. But France is also ruthless, though. I mean, like they have that foreign legion and some crazy special forces and navies and shit.
And the British army has 153,000, so a little less than Germany actually. That's surprising. Yeah. And what about Spain military?
And
Spain has 133,000 active personnel. Italy has doesn't say.
Yeah, and Russia has roughly 1 million active duty soldiers and 250,000
okay, so you are actually right, man. It looks like it's only France and Italy that has a big. Or no, not even Italy. It's only France who has a bigger army than Germany.
Yeah. So you see, man, you know, like when all these places are like mobilized, I'm guessing there's other reasons for why Germany would be a strategic target, like rocket silos or missile silos and air fleet and stuff like that. But also they are also a strategic point for the rest of the EU, since it's laying right there, right in the middle.
Damn, Poland has a reserve personnel army of 1.7 million. Yeah. But what is the difference between active personnel and reserve personnel?
Reserve personnel is like what you call in Danish hjemmeværnet.
But that's not like you and I who like have I remember signing some waiver or something that if Denmark is ever at war or something, that then I will actually also be taken in to fight for the Danish force.
No. Like the hjemmeværn, you gotta like actively sign up for that. It's, for instance, those guys that are standing on the border, on the Danish side.
Oh no! Wait, yeah. So reserve personnel is like just what you have next to the active. So the thing that I would probably be the people that if there was war, I would be included in a force that would like clear debris and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. So these guys are trained in combat and all that stuff, but they are reserves, so they can just be called in and be like, hey, you gotta help us, and then you're coming, right? That's the difference. So yeah, man. In any event, then Russia loses, of course. So and that's the confusion with like why try to anger the European Union, why try to anger the NATO and stuff.
I gotta correct myself from earlier when I said Germany doesn't have a army. That's not it is kind of true, but not entirely, because the German army is part, or Heer as it's called in Germany, is part of the Bundeswehr, is part of that defensive unit, but they're more active, I guess, anyway, and that consists of only 64,000.
Yeah.
So 1/3 of the rest of the countries in Europe.
So that's it, man. Because I remember this when I read that book called Burning Nation. I think it is called. Let me just check that.
Yeah, we can take that as the last topic for this short episode here.
Burning Nation, or Divided We Fall. Burning Nation is like the book 2. Divided We Fall is like the first one, and then it's this one, right? Think there is a third one, written by some ex-US Marine called Trent Reedy. Quite entertaining book, by the way, if you ever want to read it. What's going down in it is that there is some Trump-looking figure that is the president of America, right? Then he refuses to. This comes later. He refuses to step down, but before this, there are like also these. He refuses to step down, and then there is this governor the governor of Idaho, by the way. Yeah. Either the governor of Idaho, Utah, or something like this is saying that like, nah, man, you're not my president, so I'm not recognizing you as my president. And the thing that I didn't know is that what are they called, man? I was just like talking about the hjemmevern. What are they called in English?
I don't know. That is a good question. The Home Guard.
The Home Guard.
In I guess in the United States it would be the Homeland Defense.
Nah, Homeland Defense is like also like state. Man, like let me see like what are the different types of the military factions. Actions the USA.
Or Homeland, I guess. No, Homeland Security, that's what it's called.
It's not Homeland Security either. I need to find out what they were called, man.
But then again, yeah, Homeland Security, that is more like agents, whereas the Danish Hjemmeværn is just more like soldiers who are fixing domestic things, like at a public arrangement, like if something that the police can't order, they're stepping in. For instance, if they're hooligans. No, not
okay.
Like for instance, like if there's need for parking control at a big soccer game, then they direct the traffic.
Okay, I just that's true, man. By the way, I just figured it out. It is the National Guard. That's what they're called. And here's the thing, man. Like,
and like when they're doing something more uncivil things, then they're probably, I don't know, dragged into. Are they defending the country too? I don't know.
Yeah, but mostly the state or something. And this is like what I was like. This is what I didn't know, because like the National Guard don't answer to the president. The National Guard answers to the governor of the state.
Oh, right.
Right, and so this is what happens in the book. He says, "Nah, I don't recognize you as my president, and I have like this big of a National Guard force, and we will defend the state." And then he declares the state of Idaho as a republic of its own, putting up landmines and shit with the National Guard defending it. Right.
Oh,
and then
that crazy guy from Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Trying to make its own sovereign country.
Right. And this catches fire, and then eventually, like, there is more states, like fighting against the president, and then it just all ends up in a full-out civil war between the states and the federal forces, right?
Yeah.
Making America in ruins. And at the same time as this is happening in the book, Russia invades Europe because they don't think that Europe can protect itself. Yeah, can't protect itself without the US. And apparently he had done a lot of research before writing this book about the different military scenarios where Russia invades Europe, right? Even though it's an ongoing, side story that don't take up a lot of page space in the book, and then at the end, then Europe is then like fighting back the Russian forces and making them retreat.
Oh, right. All right. So then I don't know if that was a spoiler there, but. I don't know if I have time to read the book anyway, but
Yeah, that was like that. But again, like this was like a side story. This isn't the main story. All right. But yeah.
No. However, we have reached the half-hour mark now, so I think that's going to have to do it for now. I will unpack the rest of my boxes now, because I'm feeling like a nomad still. But I will get settled in, and then we will be back probably in a couple of days' time with another one. Exciting podcast for you guys.
Definitely. All right, guys. Peace out. Don't forget to fucking sub, or I'm coming after you. All right.